Hello, chat. We are going to get right into it. This is the sentencing for Juliana Peres Magalhães. She is the au pair, the nanny, the Brazilian fuck toy of Brendan Banfield. Remember, Brendan and Christine Banfield hired her to be, and then she became the nanny. Do. So she became a nanny. And after a while, her and Brendan started humping. And shortly after that, they hatched a plan to kill Christine. And you're like, okay. And then what did they do to kill Christine? Well, they did that whole crazy thing where they set up the fake FetLife accounts and the fake crazy sex ring. And they literally killed, it's insane. It's insane how they killed her. They killed Christine, and then they killed Joseph Ryan, the guy they lured over as part of their crazy sex games. Well, remember, Brendan Banfield went up there and he's like, look, it was all a misunderstanding. I was actually the hero. I saved the day because I thought she was being raped and I killed her. And it's like, yeah, no, nobody believed that. That's totally not how it happened. Nobody believed him. Brendan Banfield was convicted. It took the jury a couple of days, but he was convicted of both counts of murder. He's going to get life in prison without parole. Well, remember, Juliana came in and testified and said the game plan was they were going to shoot Joseph Ryan because he was raping her and he'd save the day. And as that happens, he then stabbed Christina to death. Well, Joseph Ryan didn't die, so Juliana had to go get a gun and shoot him. So she killed him, and she's been in jail since all of this happened. She's pretty much been in jail from the start, as far as things are concerned. And, this all goes back to the murders that happened basically in October of 2023. Or I'm sorry, not 2023. But she's been in jail since October of 2023, basically. In 2024, in October 2024, she pled guilty. And, this all goes back to what happened in 2023. In February 2023, that's when the murders occurred. And just think about that. It's, this is insane, isn't it? How they did this. How this all worked out. And how this all came about. This case has been going forever. And what did they tell her? Well, if you testify against him, we'll recommend, prosecutors did, you'll plead guilty to manslaughter and we will allow you to get time served. And think about that. She's, involved in a double murder. And they let her get that. Now, did they need her? I think they truly did at the end of the day because their case was awful. Their case was really shitty. Remember, all the judges or all the detectives had been removed. Just the whole case was garbage from the start. But she is there now and she's up for sentencing for her part in the trial. And then Jillian is a new member. Thank you, guys. Remember, we're getting ready to go over to the members only show after this is over. Yeah, time served is crazy. It's a crazy recommendation. Yeah. But then Ag says, would you be willing to give me a $19 million loan? My former university might need to get a coach off their hands. No, I'm good. I'm good at that point. Johan says, justice for Taco Supreme. Yes, remember, Joseph Ryan, his internet name on FetLife was Taco Supreme 9,000 or 7,000. And yes, he showed up and he got killed, which is kind of rough for him. But it did happen. It did happen, chat. They killed him and, you're like, well, that sucks. And yeah, it does. It does. But, you'd think you'd think what would happen there, but it did. It did, chat. And you're just like, well, what the fuck? But, it is what it is, chat. It is what it is. As much as I hate that phrase, it is true. She's just done. She's done. Now let's get to it. Talk is cheap. And I just had it up. But she's getting sentenced. Remember, she's sentenced in front of Penny Askarati. And here is her sentencing as it comes out. And here we go. And it's also going to be closed caption, which will help. And remember, she showed up.
She came into the court.
And remember, she shows up looking like this, looking like a goober. So here she comes for her sentencing. Oh, wait, where the hell is it? Oh, is this? Oh, this isn't the one thing we're looking for. Sorry, Chad. I clicked on the wrong thing here. So, crap. I got to back out here. Sorry. Here we go.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Ted Rollins. Good to be with you on this Friday. We are heading.
Okay, so she got sentenced on Friday. Here we are. Here we go.
We did, Your Honor. No changes, additions, or corrections.
All right. Does the Commonwealth have any?
No changes, additions, or corrections.
All right. I'll make the pre-sentence investigation report part of the record.
And this is not uncommon to go through and say the pre-sentence report is correct. Judge, we don't have any changes for it. But here we go. We're going to listen to it a little faster. So here we are.
The Commonwealth, as far as evidence, I do have, victim impact statements that I have already reviewed. Is there any objection to those victim impact statements?
Your Honor, my position, I talked to the Commonwealth, is that some of them fall outside the definition under...
Okay, which ones? Are you objecting to certain ones, or are you not?
Your Honor, the specific ones are the ones that relate to Christine Banfield, so
Okay.
family members of Christine.
So you object to those victim impact statements?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And Judge, what I would say to that is that certainly the statement of facts that we presented and that is included in the pre-sentence report includes information about also the murder of Christine Banfield. I understand that this charge itself reflects the killing and murder of Joseph Ryan. However, I do think that the voices of Christine Banfield's family are important in this hearing as well.
I understand, but he's only been charged with the murder. I mean, she's only been charged with the murder of Joseph Ryan. So the only victim impact statements the court can consider are the ones based on which the Commonwealth has charged her with. So I can only take into consideration the victim impact statements from Joseph Ryan's family. Okay, so I'll do that and I'll grant your motion. Okay. All right. Do you have any other evidence?
Judge, I do, in light of the court's ruling, I'm going to have two witnesses.
Well, remember, Eric, it's a plea deal. It's a deal between the state and the state and the defendant. It's not binding on the judge. Most states, it's never binding on the judge. At the federal level, sometimes it can be binding on a judge, but it's very hard to get. There are times where the court has to accept it, or there's, precedent for that. But yes, this is a plea deal. The state is recommending time served. That doesn't mean she's going to necessarily get it. The court can do whatever they want. But now we get to the victim impacts, and the judge has not done her thing yet.
Okay. The first of which is going to be Deirdre Fisher.
Okay, Deirdre Fisher.
She is appearing via Teams.
Right. Okay, ma'am, if you could just raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Okay.
Good morning, Ms. Fisher.
Good morning.
Could you please state your name for the court?
My name is Deirdre Maureen Fisher.
And can you tell the court your relationship to Joe Ryan?
Joseph Ryan is my son.
And can you tell the court of any psychological injury that you have received resulting from this offense, or any changes to your personal welfare, lifestyle, or relationships resulting from this offense?
Is this outside of the statement that I
No, ma'am.
am going to read?
You go ahead and read your statement.
Oh, so I read it now?
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
that correct?
And guys, this is Joseph Ryan, Taco Supreme's mom. And she's the one who talked about, like, he shared with all of his fetishes and the knife play and all that creepy shit in that interview we watched. Like, this lady is fucking off her rocker. It's sad she lost her son, but oh my God, is this lady insane? But here we go.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Honorable Judge Penny Askarati, for giving me the opportunity to talk about the impact of the murder of my son, Joseph Nathan Ryan. My baby boy was born 2 days before Christmas, making that our special holiday. His middle name was Nathan, which means gift. Since Joe's murder, I haven't been able to take down my little Christmas tree. which sits behind the urn with his ashes. I say good morning to him each day when I turn on the tree's lights. But of course, that's not Joe sitting there. He can't say, I love you back. When Joe was taken from me cruelly and callously, murdered by Juliana and Brendan on February 24th, 2023, I lost so very much, more than I can possibly name. I lost my confidant, someone who knew me deeply, listened without judgment, offered advice with my best interests at heart. I lost my biggest ally and my cheerleader. That empathetic voice saying, Mom, you got this. Mom, you should be kinder to yourself. I lost my rock and protector. The person who flew down repeatedly to take care of me when I had cancer. I lost the comfort of knowing that my son would be there to care for me when I'm an old woman with illness or dementia, just as he cared for his grandmother and grandfather.
All right, this is just the beginning of Joseph Ryan's mother's statement. We're going to get a break and get you back into the...
What the fuck? Why? What the hell is wrong with you, Court TV? Why can't I just see the goddamn thing? You're fucking killing me, Court TV. I just want the unfettered footage. Like, where is it? Where is it? I guess we'll just use this then, because this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Waste of my time. So here we go. And we'll use this channel. This is just obnoxious. They didn't do that live? Oh, well, that's bullshit. So here we go. We'll get to this live here. We're not watching all 4 hours, chat, of, like, nothing on screen. Okay, what is going on here? Oh, there's some, okay, here we go.
Since Joe's murder,
Here we go.
Ryan, so the only victim impact statements the court can consider are the ones
Here we go.
callously murdered by Juliana and Brendan on February 24th, 2023. I lost so very much, more than I can possibly name. I lost my confidant, someone who knew me deeply, listened without judgment, offered advice with my best interests at heart. I lost my biggest ally and my cheerleader.
Why is the closed captioning not
That
working?
empathetic voice saying, Mom, you got this. Mom, you should be kinder to yourself. I lost my rock and protector. The person who flew down
Sorry, chat.
repeatedly to take care of me when I had cancer. I lost the comfort of knowing that my son would be there to care for me when I'm an old woman with illness or dementia, just as he cared for his grandmother and grandfather. I lost my financial sustainability due to grief's torturous effect on my health, both physically and mentally, which has affected my ability to work and function. I lost my peace and sense of well-being. I can never unhear Joe's moans and cries after he was shot, the cries of a dying man. I can never unsee the image of his lifeless, bloody hand from the trial images. I lost nearly all my friends who couldn't handle dealing with someone lost in grief or understand why my life can't just go on. I lost the chance to ever be called grandma. I will never have that. I lost the sound of Joe calling me the most beautiful word in the world, Mom. I lost my Christmas baby, Joseph Nathan, my greatest gift. The impact of Joe's loss doesn't go away. Will never go away, but only grow. So many tears, so many times reaching for the phone to call him, only to remember that he won't and can't pick up. So many times hearing the phone ring and wishing it was him, calling me out of the blue about something happening in the world or in his life. So many empty Christmases and so many birthdays without him singing to me in his awful yet beautiful voice, tone deaf. So many moments of trying to remember the exact sound of his laughter and fearing that someday I won't. So many sleepless nights. So many nightmares of his brutal murder and fear, confusion, and of the pain he must have felt. So many screams and guttural cries into my pillow, feeling the loss of my son. So many moments of reading horrible, so many moments defending and explaining who my son was and why he couldn't have committed the murder of Christine Banfield. God rest her soul. So many conversations with others, draining them and me of a chance to make happier memories together. So many stomach aches. So many doctor's appointments, hospital bills, feelings of shame about my health. So many times wishing I could tell Joe about another milestone in my weight loss journey, seeking better health, knowing how encouraging and proud he would be. So many lost moments, so many moments of loss. My son's life was used and thrown away, seen as worthless.
Now, real quick, chat. Some of you are asking a bunch of questions here, and I think we kind of need to address these. Why the clown glasses? She's a goofy-looking lady. She's a goofy lady. And then, you know, you're allowed to look like... Seller's saying she didn't give enough for shit to drive there. She lives in Florida. She might not have the money. Like, it's not easy for people to travel across the country. Like, she may not have the money to do it. So, if you don't have the money, you don't have the money. That's not really a thing, you know, you can really bitch about there. So, it could totally happen, though. I mean, yeah, apparently she's not in great health. Yeah. So, anyways, here we go. I mean, it's really sad. I mean, yeah, sure, she seems like a crazy lady, but yeah, she still lost her son, and it's really, really sad. So, but yeah, she probably can't afford on top of everything else. But yeah, and Kayla said she's not in great health. Yeah, I mean that too. It's really hard to take her seriously after you listen to that interview we saw of her, where she's just batshit insane. So,
And utterly disposable. Disposal by those who plotted and executed his brutal murder. Do I think or dare hope that there will be justice for Joe's death? For my loss as his mother? I don't believe that's possible. What I do hope is that even for a moment, that the world and you, Judge, will say Joe meant more than nothing, that he was someone worthy of dignity and life, who didn't deserve to be used and thrown away, treated as utterly disposable. Thank you for listening and for weighing the trail of pain and loss Juliana left in the wake of her calculated cold-blooded murder with her life and future as her only concern. My son, Joseph Nathan Ryan, was not and is not disposable. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Please answer any questions that Mr. Campbell may have.
All right, cross-examination. No cross-examination. Okay, thank you, Ms. Fisher.
Thank you.
All right, your next witness.
Judge, the next witness that I have is going to be Ms. Sangeeta Ryan, who is present in court.
Okay, Ms. Ryan.
Do you swear or affirm to testify truthfully in this case under penalty of law? Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And remember, guys, even though she's crazy and kooky, your heart still breaks for that lady. Like, her life is destroyed at the end of the day.
Please state your name for the court.
Sangeeta Ryan.
And can you describe your relationship to Joe Ryan?
This is where I read my statement. Who I met, Joey Nathan Ryan, was my nephew. And Honorable Judge Ascarati, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today. Thank you for allowing the Ryan family to speak up for our Joey Nathan Ryan. We thank the jury for helping us achieve justice for Joe and Christine. And we thank the Fairfax County Police Department, the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, and all that helped, and we are grateful for justice. So our family has remained silent since the devastating loss out of grief, but also out of respect for the justice system. For us, Joe did not just die on February 23rd, 23. He was murdered over and over again. Every time lies were spoken, every time his picture was posted alongside salacious stories told by two wolves in sheep's clothing who perpetrated this crime and attempted to destroy the memory of two remarkable people. Julia and her boss/lover intended to snuff out the life of two innocent victims who deserve to live full and meaningful lives of their own. Well, while we acknowledge the defendant for eventually coming forward with the truth, telling the truth doesn't absolve her of responsibility. Honesty is something we're taught at a young age. Telling the truth doesn't erase the harm. It simply allows others to move forward. It doesn't bring Joe back, and it sure doesn't bring Christine back. Hearing the truth has finally allowed us to exhale. It validated to the world what we already knew, that Joe is not the monster he was portrayed to be. Rather, Joe is an elder brother, a brand new uncle, the eldest cousin and confidant to four. He is my beloved nephew and a son and grandson to his loving family. Pardon me 1 second. We acknowledge that Juliana was a young woman in a foreign country, in love with her employer in a situation where the power imbalance was not in her favor. But where our compassion ends is with the one other responsibility. Juliana was entrusted with and received payment for the care and protection of a small, innocent child. And Juliana, I feel, failed Valerie repeatedly. She was trusted to protect this young charge, but instead chose to cause irreparable damage. She robbed her of her mother. She stole childhood memories. She chose to partner in the brutal assassination of her mother's character, as well as her beautiful being. The defendant and her boss/boyfriend convinced Valerie that a stranger broke into her home and killed her mother, when in fact the monsters were the very people who cared for her after the loss. Julie and her boss worked to erase her mother's existence and credibility and place the blame on an innocent man. Our hearts go out to all of Christine and Valerie's family. What an absolutely incredible person she must have been. But may I tell you about Joe? Joe is loved. Joe came to live with the Ryan family. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Take your time.
Joe came to live with the Ryan family just days after his birth. His birth parents, Dad, Sean, and Deirdre, who you met, were teenagers, so Joe lived with and was raised by his paternal grandparents, Connie and Jim, for all of his life. As a young child, Joe, who we call Joey, was fun-loving and loved from the beginning. He was inquisitive, curious, smart, charming, and so dang talkative. Joe approached strangers and passerbyers with random and nerdy questions about Transformers and movie characters and the Legend of Zelda video game characters and who had been in a battle between this person and this person, and he respectfully waited the answers, whether you knew them or not. As he grew into adulthood, Joe's hobbies included building or painting anything that used his fine motor skills. He loved martial arts. He had a great love and respect for our environment, animals, especially mistreated, neglected, and ugly dogs. And he rescued many injured and less loved dogs, bringing them across the country in his travels safely home to the home he shared with his grandmother. Joe cared for people, he cared for animals, and Joe didn't hurt people. When Joe's grandfather, Pap, required care due to a debilitating stroke, Joe left his life in Virginia and moved to Florida to serve as the full-time caregiver to his grandfather, the grandfather that supported him from infancy. When Pat developed dementia and had to move into a memory care facility, then Joe moved back to Virginia, where he began to take care of his grandmother, who had begun to experience health problems of her own. Joe took over transportation for medical appointments, hospital procedures, food shopping, and the bond between Connie and her grandson was as close as that of a mother and child. Joe would never have put himself in a dangerous situation that would risk his ability to continue to take care of his beloved grandmother or his old ugly dog, Kitty. I'm sorry, she's not ugly. When Joe didn't come home, Joe's grandmother, Connie, lost the gentle man that she and Pap raised as their fourth son. Joe's sudden murder devastated his grandma, who was 81 and devastated her so much she could no longer live in the family home without Joe, and quietly and quickly sold her home to dodge memories, grief, and reporters to move closer to my husband and me. My husband is Joe's Uncle Jimmy, and I'm his Aunt Gita. In Joe's absence, my husband and I made the decision to leave our careers and to take over his grandma's support and care team. We continue to do that today, and we think about and talk about Joe every single day. Honorable Judge Asgarati, we feel Joe and Christine were targeted by the worst kind of monsters, the kind who live among the victims and wait until they're the most vulnerable. We feel as a woman, a caretaker, and as a daughter, Juliana had opportunity to stop this brutal assassination. We think she could have warned Christine. We think she could have warned Joe that morning. This could have been a very different ending where Juliana saved 2 lives, but that's not. At least she should have done the job for which she was being paid to protect a child. She did not. So many opportunities to do the right thing, and Juliana over and over chose not to. And while we acknowledge that she found the strength to tell the truth, it doesn't absolve the responsibility. So today we leave here finally standing as Joe. This nightmare's ending. It's our hope that Juliana doesn't walk free, but continues to reflect on how she became capable of doing this, so that when she does return to Brazil, she never victimizes another person, never betrays another child in her care, and never again places selfish desire above human life. She doesn't deserve to profit. We hope that can be enforced. The reality is, though, she will be free one day, and our hope is that she carries the weight of the lives destroyed, that Juliana chooses to live as a decent person, and that she is truly remorseful. The sentence that Juliana receives today is not the only one given. We all carry a life sentence of grief, even after hers ends. We ask for peace. We ask to be allowed to move forward. Today we move forward by returning Joe's kindness to the world. We say his name proudly. We invite the world to finally know the man we protected in silence for so long. He is loved. We miss Joe, and our family is devastated by the way he was ripped from our lives. Joe won't complete painting his unfinished Warhammer 3D figurines. He won't keep competing anymore.
He liked the Warhammer, Chad. He can't be that bad. But no, honestly, like, I'm sure, and now obviously too, every time somebody's a victim, they're always like, one step away from curing cancer. But I don't doubt this Joe Ryan was probably a pretty decent guy. Sure, he liked some like weird, creepy rape fetish stuff, but you know what? Like, okay, like he did. So, like, overall, I bet he was a pretty good person overall. So I could step in and finish his models. Yeah. Smodge says the Warhammer stuff too. Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, not a bad guy so far. Not a bad guy so far. So
more live action role playing battles with silly hand-created foam weapons, nor his mixed martial arts or video game battles. He'll no longer bore us with lectures about eating organic food over junk food, but it's with our hearts we thank you, Honorable Judge, and the jury that was here, members of the court, the police, the detective, the prosecution team, the victims team, and all the witnesses who supported justice for Joe. Thank you so much for listening.
Please answer any questions that Mr. Campbell might have.
Any cross-examination?
No questions, Your
All right, no questions. All right, you can
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. Judge, I don't have any further evidence, but I do want to acknowledge to the court that the
real quick, chat. Somebody had asked the question here earlier. Slayer saying, wait, they can cross on this. Depending on the situations, if they're made to take the witness stand and it's giving testimony, yes, technically they're a witness. Person was offered testimony, so you could cross-examine them. I've had a couple times where I have, I had a case where this my guy beat the fuck out of somebody with a metal rod. It beat the shit out of the guy. And the guy came in acting like a little bitch and was limping. And he comes in and says, Your Honor, I got hurt. And, you know, he damaged my leg and look at me limping. And the guy was wearing a boot. And I got up there and, you know, I said, you know, is that so he hit your legs? I said, isn't it interesting how you never told the police that it was only your arms? Because then I showed him pictures of him getting attacked. And the judge got very pissed off. The guy was starting to lie on the stand. So there are times where you question somebody, but in a case like this, no, you just shut the fuck up and move on. There's nothing you would ask here. But you have that right. You have that right. So.
Family of Christine Banfield is here today. You can see them to your Honor's right.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Along
ma'am.
with Joe's family.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you. All right. Commonwealth,
not every
the rest
time
for
in some
evidence. The
states,
defense
in
rest,
some
I
places.
do have for your evidence the memorandum of support sentencing, which I have reviewed, in addition to 3 letters that you have provided
Yes,
as well. I reviewed those as well.
Your Honor, I'm going to hand up a few certificates that Mr. President. They can just be made part of the record there.
Okay. Are
And
these
no further
okay?
evidence.
Can be part of.
Yeah, Tim, that's the thing. He got tricked into thinking he was talking to her. And he shows up and she's like, oh, don't rape me, don't rape me. And he's like, oh my God, we're really getting into this now. Like he thought it was all part of the game. Yes, Pretty Mama Bear, did we watch the interview? Yes. The mom is insane. The mom is insane. No, Tim, I don't disagree with you that it's rape, but at the time the guy thought he was doing role play. So you can argue that it's still rape, sure, but he thought he was part of doing something there. So, you know, that's, you know, like this isn't exactly, you know, that's just how, that's how it kind of is there. It's a little different. It's a little different. And he would have a very tough time. I mean, I would think there's some defenses you can use because a lot of this requires, you know, knowledge that you're not supposed to be doing it. It's like, well, somebody told me they were doing it. I came over to the house is open. Yeah, there's a pretty good compelling argument that it's not rape. Now, would a jury buy it? Probably not, but I could see taking it to trial. It's irrelevant to the sentencing. Oh, I 100% agree. It's irrelevant to her sentencing. She's still a piece of shit. So, yeah. What's the percentage of women into this type of fantasy? Probably a lot more than we're all willing to admit. Tim says that would be the excuse of every rapist. Except he literally would have had stacks of text messages and literally everything that he was told to do was set up for him. So it wouldn't work that way. Like Tim, I'm trying to tell you, pamper your tampers here, okay? Take your tampons and just soothe it down for a minute, okay? This is probably like the one time where we had literally a mountain of evidence supporting him. Just take a breath and think about it. Yeah, everybody would say this, but not everybody would have this kind of evidence. So.
The file, or do you need copies? We can make copies of them if you'd like.
That'd be fine, Your Honor.
Okay,
Thank
we'll
you.
make copies. All right, let me just review them, please. All right, we'll go ahead and make copies of these certificates and make them part of the record as well. All right, any other evidence from the defense?
No further evidence.
All right, argument?
Judge, the Commonwealth in this case, as the court is aware, made a recommendation, and the Commonwealth stands by that recommendation.
All right, argument? Mr.
Thank
Kim?
you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the 2 witnesses.
Also, here's the state. Your Honor, we're upholding our argument. We're upholding our deal. We're recommending what we've recommended. So the state's upheld its deal. Remember, for them, it's a contract. She performed.
That you heard from today made it clear that hearing the truth was valuable to them, to the Ryan family, and it was the truth that Juliana spoke at trial. And ultimately, it was her testimony that likely resulted in the conviction of Brendan Banfield. Until her cooperation, the Commonwealth had only a theory. They had circumstantial evidence, but no direct evidence. When Juliana finally came forward, she offered that direct evidence of what crimes she'd been involved in and what crimes were committed by Brendan Banfield. Your Honor, our position is that justice requires that the court follow the joint recommendation of the parties. Justice requires it because It was an arm's length agreement made by an experienced prosecution team with the approval of the head of the office, with the knowledge of all the facts and circumstances of the case, not just the facts of the case, but issues that would be presented at trial, the presentation of evidence and witnesses, sentencing guidelines, and many other factors that the parties consider beyond what the court might realize. Justice requires it because Joseph Ryan and Christine Banfield and their families deserve justice. By accepting responsibility in this case and cooperating, we avoided 2 trials. We assured the finality of the decision in this case, and we gave the jury and the Commonwealth and the court confidence that Brendan Banfield would be convicted, as he ultimately was. Justice requires following the agreement because every individual that makes...
Following the recommendation.
Recommendation, yes,
Thank
Your Honor. And I addressed that in my memo, of course.
Yes.
Every individual that makes a difficult decision to cooperate does so with the belief that the recommendation would be followed or at least considered by the court. The Commonwealth, the courts, and prosecutors in courts everywhere in the country rely on cooperating witnesses to do what Juliana has done in this case, which is to speak the truth and offer direct evidence of crimes, included those cooperating witnesses that they themselves have committed serious offenses. When a prosecutor makes a promise, the court ought to give it serious weight. Your Honor, I'll say I'm disappointed but not surprised that the Commonwealth didn't advocate today for the recommendation. I have deep respect for Ms. Bristler and Ms. Sands and the prosecution team. I suspect that this is frankly because of public sentiment regarding the agreement that they made.
Recommendation.
I'm going to continue to make that mistake.
understand.
Your Honor, I just want to touch on a few things that I've just reviewed.
Yes.
Your Honor, the importance of the cooperation. Ms. Sands did communicate to me that she interviewed the foreman of the jury, who said 3 things to them, 3 things that Ms. Sands relayed to me, that they believed Juliana Peres Magalhães, that her testimony was integral. That was the word that Ms. Sands used. In other words, central to their decision to convict Brendan Banfield. And third, that they didn't believe Brendan Banfield. Your Honor, that is important for the court to consider because, again, up until her testimony, which was presented first in the Commonwealth series of witnesses, the Commonwealth had only a theory. The Commonwealth had circumstantial evidence, forensic evidence, electronic forensic evidence, digital forensic evidence, and others. But it was Juliana who ultimately told the story firsthand of what occurred. Because that decision was integral in the jury's decision, I think it could be said, and of course the court presided over the entire trial, you can determine her credibility yourself, but the jury certainly found it integral to their decision. And for that reason, the Commonwealth's recommendation, the joint recommendation, should be given heavy consideration by the court in this case. Your Honor, I briefly want to just touch on the delay in cooperating. It was evident to the defense that from Juliana's first date of arrest, that they wanted her cooperation desperately. Her cooperation didn't come quickly. And our position is that at that time, she was still under the grip of Brendan Banfield, and the plan that he had convinced her would work. She still believed that there wouldn't be sufficient evidence for a conviction, and she was relying on Brendan's plan to get her through her arrest and prosecution. As she languished in jail, discovery dripped in. We really didn't receive significant discovery until after the preliminary hearing in this case. And even leading up to the trial date, we still hadn't received much of the digital forensic evidence that was made central to Brendan Banfield's case. Your Honor, the tipping point was perhaps the arrest of Brendan Banfield. That broke his grip on Juliana. The communications between Brendan and Juliana ceased. There were no further assurances that things would be okay for her, that they would have a life together afterwards. She was left alone, truly alone. No communications from his mother or family or other people, and no ability for her to actually contact her own family. She was left alone upon Brendan's arrest, and that was a huge factor in her coming forward. Your Honor, when she did come forward, we moved rapidly. We had a lengthy debrief followed by a plea within a day or two of that debrief. The next several months resulted in continued debriefings. We were available at every request of the Commonwealth. She continued to be candid and open with her statements, and I haven't heard any issues with her reluctance to answer questions in those.
Here's the neat part, chat. Like, this guy's basically just begging the judge not after seeing what happened here. You know, that, look, judge, my client is a complete piece of shit, but please uphold the deal. This is a very tough argument. It's a very, very tough argument here. So I don't blame him for making the arguments here, but it's going to get really tough. It's going to get really tough.
Debrief sessions. Your Honor, if she hadn't testified, there's a good chance that Brendan wouldn't have been convicted. First, the Commonwealth believed her. Secondly, Brendan chose to testify himself. I doubt he would have done that without her testimony. He chose to directly challenge her statement of offense, of her account of what occurred, and he was caught in his own lies. Beginning with shortly after cross-examination, the question of whether he loved her or not, and him saying, well, I didn't really love her. There were certain things that were in the way. And finally ending with his testimony about an important meeting that he was going to. Upon reviewing that testimony, his boss came forward and testified the next day that there was no meeting. Brendan's lies ultimately resulted in his conviction, but he might not have testified if Juliana hadn't been testified. Your Honor, I appreciate the comments of Joseph Ryan's family, and I've read the letters that were filed by Christine's family, and there's no words I can offer to console them at this time. But it is critical that there was no trial in this case, that there is finality for the families, and that there was cooperation by Juliana that resulted in Brendan's conviction. Your Honor, the last thing I want to comment on is the agreement in this case, the recommendation.
Thank you.
I hoped the language of the plea agreement says that the Commonwealth recommends. It doesn't say they have to get up and advocate or pound their fist and argue to what extent the cooperation was important, but the court can weigh that yourself. It was critical. Her cooperation and testimony was critical to the outcome of Brendan Banfield's case. This was an agreement for a recommendation that was made with full knowledge of what the facts were of the case and what public sentiment might be regarding the agreement for Juliana in this case. The agreement was made anyway.
Recommendation.
Recommendation.
Thank you.
The recommendation was made with the input of all the victims, of the police department, and all the important people as required by law. And there was no pushback at that time, Your Honor. I have a position in my sentencing memo whether this is an agreement or a recommendation under A1A or C. I'll maintain that argument, Your Honor. I ask that the court follow the joint recommendation of the parties and impose an active sentence of no more than time served in this case.
All right, thank you, Mr. Campbell. All right, Ms. Perez Magalhães, if you could stand up, please. If you could stand up, Ms. Perez Magalhães. Is there anything you wish to say at this time before sentence is imposed?
This is going to be interesting where she comes up. What's she going to say here? So, let's see. Yeah, the max she's facing is 10 years. Hold on, Eric, what do you... Tim says, get court approval before you make a deal. Courts won't... You don't get it. The courts don't approve your deal beforehand. Like, no, like, you don't get to go to the judge and say, Judge, will you promise to do this? No judge is going to promise you like that. Judges don't make that promise. They'll just say, I'll let you make the deal. Like, I'll accept the plea. But they never agree ahead of, like, you generally don't, like, the judge is never going to accept it right there. They might not say anything, but yeah, you don't get it. You don't, like, ahead of time like that. No, you don't generally get that kind of guarantee here. So this is all being done on faith. That's how it has to work. That's how it has to work here. So that's the thing you got to be careful about. Like, because I guarantee you, she said, I'm not involved in that. You guys work out a deal and I'll figure out what the sentence is. So, have you seen a judge stop an attorney from selling their client like this? I mean, I have before. I've also been that guy. Like, Judge, look, they're awesome. Judge, like, yeah, let's just get moving. Kind of, yeah. I've seen that happen before. I've also been that guy. It happens.
Yeah, I would like to read a statement. I have caused your pain. They cannot be measured and forever changed so many lives. I pray for forgiveness from the Benson family and from Joseph Ryan's family and from Valerie. I will never forgive myself for the pain caused. I hope that my cooperation in this case somehow begin to help repair the damage caused. There is nothing I could possibly do to make it up to you, to your loss. Sorry. There are so many regrets, but it's my biggest. That's it. That's a tragedy I have been carrying with me, and I will always do. It's something I have nightmares with. A tragedy I know I can never take back the devastation of what I have done. I know that my remorse cannot bring you peace. I hope you might someday understand that I truly did not believe that his plan would have actually happened. I have grown so much over the past 3 years. I look back at my younger self at 22 years old, falling head over heels for someone 15 years older. They only seeing his good side and clinging to someone that showed me love. I lost myself in a relationship, leaving my morals and values behind, and putting even my loved ones through this. My time in jail has been a time of reflection for me to better myself in more ways than I realized I needed. I had to find myself again. That's when I truly found God, when I had lost the desire to live, when I wanted to die. The guilt and feelings that I didn't deserve to live and that I was a monster were overwhelming. In God, I found the forgiveness and mercy, and I am restored. Jail is not a place you can bear to let yourself drown in those feelings. I wanted to disconnect from my pain and the guilt and get into survival mode to stay mentally sane, because inevitably, with the memories come pain. Yet,
Basically, she's like, I'm sorry I ruined my life. I don't think this woman's sorry at all. I mean, remember her up on the stand. She's like, what? I don't know. 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 I don't know.
I know I will live with this for the rest of my life. God and I only know the shame and guilt and sorrow I carry for all I have caused. Sorry for Joe's family and Christine's family. Sorry for Valerie and innocent little girl who has so much love that will grow without her mother and our father. This is a heavy burden to carry, knowing you could have prevented it at all from happening. I understand that I am to blame, and I'm truly sorry for the pain it caused. I hope someday I can be forgiven, as I hope to be able to forgive myself. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. All right. In this matter, the court does find that the manslaughter charge was a large benefit of your bargain for testifying, which was a huge bargain in a plea deal. You could have been facing life plus 3 years, and now the maximum I can sentence you to today is 10 years. That's clearly a trade for your cooperation with the Commonwealth and what the Commonwealth offered. And you accepted that along with the Commonwealth's recommendation for time served, which is not an agreement, and as you know, not binding on the court, as we discussed at length in your plea. The reduction of the charge is a mitigation. I have watched your interviews and I watched you testify, and I just cannot find any further mitigation factors for your case. You may not have come up with a plan, agreed, and an older man may have groomed you to a point, but I want to list for the record the facts that I cannot equate with accepting a time served recommendation. These are aggravating factors either not fully captured or not reflected in the sentencing guidelines. Number one, until today, you have shown no empathy for the victim in this case. Number two, you were more involved with the plan than you testified to. First off, there were numerous postings on social media platforms and text platforms looking for a target, texting and speaking directly with Joseph Ryan, encouraging him to bring the knife, and ultimately through the phone conversation, getting his consent, knowing all along you were bringing him to his death. Lying to Christine and setting up the plan for the zoo, using her devices and hiding her phone, using a child as a pawn in your plan, waiting outside for Joseph to show up, calling Mr. Banfield to bring him to the scene, and at any point for at least the month prior or that day, you could have stopped this. The plan did not work without your full involvement. Number three, having the loaded firearm in your pocket. Number four, bringing a child into the basement knowing two people were about to be murdered, to include the child's mother. Number five, hearing Christine ask you to call 911, which you did and then immediately hung up. Number six, seeing Joseph Ryan, who was shot in the head at that time, still moving and walking up to him as he lay moaning on the floor and shooting him point blank in the heart. Number seven, watching as Mr. Banfield stabbed Christine over and over again. Number eight, waiting 15 minutes before recalling 911. Number nine, telling a fabricated story for over a year and a half, a story that depicted Joseph Ryan wrongly as a rapist and a murderer, an innocent man. And number 10, telling the child it was okay to call you mommy hours after the murder. Your actions were deliberate, self-serving, and demonstrated a profound disregard for human life. So let's get it straight. You do not deserve anything other than incarceration and a life of reflection on what you have done to the victim and this family.
Damn. Yeah, and the thing is, Judge, when it's like, well, when you put it like that.
May it weigh heavily on your soul. So today I'm sentencing you on a manslaughter charge because that's what's before me. And the facts of this case demonstrate an intentional and calculated level of violence that is the most serious manslaughter scenario that this court has ever seen. Therefore, I do sentence you to 10 years in the penitentiary as required by Virginia Code 19.2, 295.2. After you've completed your 10-year sentence, I will order an additional 2 years suspended, and you will be placed on probation pursuant to Virginia Code 19.2, 303. Since you have been convicted of a felony in Virginia, a sample of your DNA will also be drawn from the state police database. Are there any questions, Mr. Campbell? All right, anything further in this case? No, ma'am. Okay. All right, you're mandated to the custody of the sheriff. I believe that completes the docket. Is that correct? I believe so. Okay. Court will be in recess. All rise. Court's in recess.
Boom, there you go. Couldn't happen to a nicer woman. And she's getting deported after all that stuff doesn't matter. Yeah. I can't believe they had the gall to ask for time served. Quippy, you got to ask for what you get, man. You know, if you've negotiated it out, try to get it. Why not? Worst case scenario, she get nuked anyway, right? Just Josh saying she didn't get mentioned time served. Does that mean she gets no time served? No. By law, you were entitled to that time. Like, that's settled. There's no issue about that. The only time you never get time served is like extradition time. There's dead time. Or if you have some situation where you're already serving time on another case, then you also might not get that. But generally speaking, like in her situation, she will get time served for that. She'll get a credit for time served. So since October of 2023, she basically gets just under, 2.5 years of time off. She gets that time. She gets that time. She can't say no time served. She legally can't do that. Yeah, she's entitled to the credit. They can't take that away from her. The judge really just said, no, ma'am. Yeah. 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 Like it's yeah. So yeah, so I thought to be granted isn't entitled. Yeah. Yeah, she literally pulled the trigger, and it's true. I can't believe she only got manslaughter. Well, yeah, they agreed to it. So the prosecution needed her to testify. She needed her to testify. So, that's how it works. And that's where she's at. So she got maxed out. I've heard people say that female judges are keen on that. They are. The original offer was plea to a misdemeanor. I know, that's the funny thing. She could have had a misdemeanor and she walked away from it like a dumb fuck. I don't know how you can't be involved, but like that was probably Brendan sweet talking her. At that point, she was being sweet talked and being, oh, I love you and don't take it. We'll be together forever. And now they're in prison. So yeah, once again, retards got retards out of this. But Kiapathic, yes. But that's very true in a lot of different situations. If you are a female judge, they looked at females skeptically. I've been in front of black judges who treat black co-defendants or black defendants very different. Like they seem to like, they are very keen on, and they don't like it when judges or defendants pulled up. Well, judge, I'm black. Come on, help a brother out. Same thing for any type of situation. There's a judge I know who's gay, and the defendant tried to pull the, hey judge, we're gay together card. We're both homos. And the judge fucking nuked his boots off for that. He didn't say that, but you could tell the judge was very pissed off about that. You have to be very careful. Yeah. Dirty Eric says she's to be released on February 13th, 2036. Yeah, that's her processing date for now. But, you know, like I said, anytime now she's waiting, she's burning, all that happens. A misdemeanor for pew-pewing him in the head and then in the heart? Yeah. That's how bad they needed her to go after Brendan Banfield. That shows you how bad their case was that they were willing to make that deal. They needed everything they could get. So I just think that shows you. I just think that shows you how bad their case was. So, what are you guys clipping? Which thing? She'll be out in 6. Well, remember, she's going to be serving. She's already served time. Yeah, but she could have got a misdemeanor. She could have got a misdemeanor. You know, you got to be careful. Got to be careful. You know, you got to make the right decisions. Sometimes it don't pan out. It don't pan out. Yeah. Banfield shot him in the head and she finished him off. Yeah. Yep. You just have to be very careful when you do this shit. You have to be very, very careful. Oh, you saying we're gay together? Okay. Oh. But no, there's an entire yeah, but I mean Judge Escarati, although at the end of the day, she's been a judge, she's been involved in criminal things and cases for decades. So anybody could sniff out the bullshit. But notice, yeah, she didn't, you know how like somebody was saying in chat earlier, they brought up a question. Well, when would she have time to say she felt sorry about it? While she's testifying, she could have worked that into an answer saying, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have done this. I wish I wouldn't have done this. I wish I could have stopped it. Christine's family, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I wish I could take it back. I'm sorry that I've orphaned your daughter. You know, now her mom's dead and her dad's gone away forever. I'm sorry to have done. She could have done that. She could have done something like that, but she didn't. You know, she just sat up there and was like, oh no, it was all him. I clean. You know, she tried to pull this shit and she thought she'd walk out of there. It does make you wonder, though, and it does make you wonder here, and I think it's just a correct idea. Had she not testified, I think Too Many Choices right. Could Brendan have walked? Probably. But then she's going down. And I think she realized after a while she was being left out to dry, and she turned on him, rightly so. She's being hung out to dry. This wasn't a situation of nobody talks, everybody walks. But yeah, Brendan would have gotten away with it, and she would have gone down for it all. Thankfully, she wasn't that stupid. Yeah, her attitude got her to the sentence. Well, even if she was really sorry about it, I still think she's going to jail. Or she's going to prison out of this. I don't think you're not going to prison out of this situation. So, is a U.S. Supermax better than Brazil? I don't know about Supermax, but I would rather go to prison in America than Brazil. So, yeah, I think he would have walked. I mean, yeah, probably. So, but yeah, it's really stupid for her. It's really stupid for her. She can't be released with time served. Seller says what? 2036 can't be released with time served. I don't get what you're saying there, but okay. Does anyone think she could stay out of trouble in prison? Oh, probably. Probably. So, you're not getting stabbed in a Supermax, yeah. The judge was looking for remorse and found none. Well, I mean, yeah, ultimately she's like, I just didn't know. I don't know any better. Yeah, it was, there are people, they live with their delusion. And, you know, it's pathetic. It's just somebody need to explain to her, like, bitch, come on now. And nobody did the right thing and broke it down for her. And that's the problem. That's ultimately her tragedy, is that she was unable to listen to people. She was unable to listen to people. And yeah. That's going to be it for her. So. Hold on, chat. All right. So, yeah, she don't speak English, but she can still say I'm sorry. She'll be trying to play the COs, especially the males. Oh, sure. And maybe that'll work for her. Maybe it won't. Yeah, her testimony. Well, his testimony was terrible. Yeah. But Brendan was fucked. That was the thing. Brendan wasn't boned until he testified. I don't think so. Nobody was gonna buy that story. So yeah, I don't think it would change anything for her. Like he was still toast. I don't think anybody bought it. Pretty Mama Bear says Lo siento. Well, remember, it's Portuguese. I don't know if that's Portuguese. So, yeah. Judge Ascarati was in the Marines, and then she, I don't know if she did JAG, but yeah, she has prior history of doing stuff. She's got a pretty accomplished career. He's too tall to be guilty. So, but yeah. Brendan fucked himself at the end of the day. So her prison sentence starts in 10 years. That'd be funny. Brazilian Portuguese is quite different, I guess. So, all right, chat. Well, that's part one of the ending. We'll get to listen to Brendan Banfield. I'm sure he's going to say, I didn't do it. I was innocent, boss. I'm sure it's going to be something like that. We are actually going to get ready to head over to do the members only show. So I'll see you guys over there. If you guys aren't a member, join up and you can have some fun. It's going to be a call-in show, and we're going to hang out for a bit. So anyways, chat, just remember until next time. 8 Gears killing an avalanche. Rip. Prayers to whoever's out there. Ooh, that sucks. I can't imagine it. Avalanche sounds scary as shit. Anyways, chat, so have a good night. And remember, until next time, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. Good night, chat. Amateur Iconoclast for 1. Sob. But guys, we're going to go over there. We're going to hang out and use StreamYard. So I'll give you the link, and people can come in and we'll talk and hang out. We'll chop it up, as the kids say. Anyways, chat, I'll see you guys over there. Remember, tomorrow night, we got the Thursday night show. Got a lot to go over, a lot of funny. This is going to be a little more of a funnier one. Not as serious as the last couple of weeks. But we'll do that tomorrow night at 9:30. So good night, chat. And I will talk to you guys later.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the